we've come now to our Friday feature movie spotlight. Here we review some of the latest cinematic releases at the Korean box office and online. And to do that, we of course need the help of our esteemed film critics. First, we have Jason and Bechervaise to my right. Jason, hello, it's good to see you.
Hello, Jaya. Great to be here, as always.
And to my left, we have Darcy Paquet with us as well. Darcy, it's great to see you too.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Okay, so we have two Korean films to talk about this week, one in theatres and one major online one. Let's start with the cinematic release. It's a sports drama called Rebound. It has the same name in Korean. It stars Ahn Jae-hong with Lee Shin-young and Jinwoon, and as the title suggests, it's about basketball. So Jason, it's interesting because this comes just a few weeks after the Japanese animation, the first Slam Dunk, which has been a huge hit in Korea. So another basketball movie coming out then.
Yeah, that's right. So the Japanese anime for Slam Dunk has remained in the top 5, since early January. We're now in April, so it's been on release for weeks, and it's now been shown on IMAX. So that's giving it another further boost in ticket reservations. The movie comes at an interesting time. Rebound. It's a film based on the true story of the Busan Jungang High School basketball team, which only had half a dozen players when they competed for the national tournament back in 2012. It's that familiar story of the underdog. We've seen it all before in American films and Korean films as well, of course. Take Off, Forever the Moment. But this film, I heard good things, and I'm glad to report it is really good. It's well written, well executed. Ultimately all the pieces come together. So I wanted to throw that in there. Ahn Jae-hong plays the coach. He's a former player himself, who takes on this team through the national tournament, coming up against some pretty fierce competition. Also stars Lee Sing-young, Jinwoon, Kim Tae, and Jung Gun-joo. So it's directed by Jang Han-jun. He's made a few films, including Forgotten in 2017, also Breakout back in 2002. And he's had an interesting career. He's had various cameos and small roles in films and shows over the years. And it's actually co-written by his wife, Kim Eun-hee, who became famous following her hit series that she wrote, Kingdom, of course.
Right.
The Netflix series. So you can see that in the writing. The writing's really good.
Okay, so Jason already revealing that he's rather fond of the film. We'll get a more in-depth review in just a second. But Darcy, what did you think? Did you enjoy it as well? A good sports movie always gets the people on the edges of their seat, even if you do know what to expect. Does this film sweep you away as well?
Yeah, the sports film is a very familiar formula. And, we don't usually go into sports film looking for something radically new, but it's a really good way to tell a story about characters and, to put a bunch of different characters together and then show them coming together, and we get this kind of dynamic sports at the end. This is a good example of a really well-written screenplay, I think, first of all, because it knows how to kind of pull you into the story without feeling like it's doing it. There are a lot of films where you can feel them trying to pull you in and straining and trying to be funny. And, this movie, it never feels like it's trying to be funny or trying to be, entertaining, and yet it's much more funny and entertaining than most of the films that are coming out these days. And the cast is really good. I want to, in particular, Ahn Jae-hong.
Yeah,
I think
he's brilliant.
There's some actors who just have this effortless charisma, and again, it doesn't look like he's trying at all. It looks like he's just kind of there on the screen, and yet he's so charismatic, and you could just kind of sit him, eating lunch or whatever, and it would still be kind of really entertaining. And so seeing him pull this group of people together, and him kind of coming from nowhere too, and then into this classic underdog story, it's just really entertaining.
So Jason, tell us why you liked it as well, because when I saw the trailer, it just seemed how do I say, just unoriginal. It seemed like it had all the cliches in there.
Sure. And yes, it does. But, I think I totally agree with Darcy, because it just never feels forced. It feels genuine, actually. It doesn't feel contrived. And, Ahn Jae-hong he just makes it his film in such a, I guess, in a charismatic way, but he's so relatable as well. And, the film works because of, the characters led by Ahn Jae-hong's, character as the coach. But, the whole cast is terrific, actually. And it's just really funny. There's some terrific scenes. It feels very Korean as well, in the second half of the film, I was in stitches. The climatic sequence is coming, and
right.
It does, of course. They're all kind of trying to cheer on their team, and you've got these older men doing their thing, and it's genuinely really, really funny. The writing is good, I think where it's going. It doesn't break any new grounds, but it's really, really effective.
Well, smiles all round from our critics, it seems. But Jason, do you think it will win over audiences, especially at this time when many people are going to see a slam dunk? Will he be able to compete? Will he be able to compete against that one? Because there has been a rather hit and miss track record for Korean sports films.
Yeah, so Take Off Forever the Moment, they were big hits, and of course for Slam Dunk, which is not a Korean film, of course, but they've struck a chord. And then you've got other films that haven't really done all that well. Perfect Game, which is actually a really good film, but didn't do very well, and As One as well. Opened with a paltry 26,000 admissions, which is terrible, to be honest. And that's not, I think at the moment films are just not opening very well, and reservations are not looking great, but word of mouth is strong, especially among female viewers, interestingly. And so I hope it hangs around. It certainly deserves to. But it's a big month for Korean cinema, because we've had a few months where we've not had anything that's really kind of connected with audiences in a big way. I'm talking about Korean films. And so we've got Killing Romance by Yoon Won-seok and Lee Byung-hun's Dream, and of course and I'm very much looking forward to both those films. And we've got Rebound. They really need to connect with audiences.
Indeed, Korean films are really struggling in the cinemas these days, which is why I think our next film is quite interesting. It's a Netflix release. It's called Kill Boksoon. In Korean, it's Kill Boksoon. And it topped the non-English film chart on the streaming service this week. Darcy, it's a high-octane action thriller about the underworld of assassins. A story I think we've heard before as well. It stars Chun Do-yeon. In fact, she's very much at the centre of this film, right? Can you tell us more?
Yes. It's directed by Byun Sang-hyun, and he's a filmmaker who's attracted a lot of attention, clearly very talented. He kind of broke through with his third film, The Merciless, that was invited to Cannes, and it got some awards for Seolgyung-gu, and this cult audience that was just crazy about that film.
They are really crazy. I was on the subway the other day and there was someone watching it.
Wow.
Or a summary of it. But it's still very popular, and students of mine have written about it. So
Yeah. So he had that under his belt. He also made Kingmaker recently. Came out last year. Sort of based on the 1970 election with Kim Dae-jung, and so now he's back again. This is his fifth feature. It is really based on Chun Do-yeon in some ways, because he said that he had her in mind when he was scripting the film, and then before making it, he did have a chance to observe Chun Do-yeon with her daughter as well. And her daughter's similar age to the daughter in the film, in 15 in the film, I believe. And and so she's a woman who's balancing a busy work life
as this assassin.
Right.
That's one of the tongue-in-cheek aspects of it, is that she works as an assassin, but it's very much a corporate kind of setting, and the all these different assassins, like they're different companies, but they've all kind of come together and established a accepted code of ethics, and it's clearly very well-paid business, and so she's a a busy working mom, and then she's dealing with issues with her daughter as well. So she's forced to kind of, I don't know, be very cold and heartless in one part of her life, and then trying to open up to her daughter and understand her daughter in the other half of her life. So it's a film with a lot of kind of recognizable stars. There's Kim Si-ya, Isom, Gu Gyo-hwan. Hwang Jung-min makes a great cameo at the beginning as kind of a samurai type of yakuza figure. And the film premiered at the Berlin Film Festival, which, film festivals have sometimes a mixed relationship with Netflix, but yeah, they were certainly intrigued by the cast, and so they invited it as a special screening in February.
So, Jason, what did you think of the film? I understand you are a big fan of Jeon Do-yeon anyway, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm a huge fan of hers. I have been for a long time. And so, yeah, as expected, she's terrific, just full of energy and charisma. And the opening of the film actually is just brilliant. You've got Hwang Jung-min and Jeon Do-yeon, and it's almost like the reunion. They were in the film You Are My Sunshine together. But the problem is that it opens so well, it just is not really able to maintain that. So quite often you have the better sequences, towards the end of the film. The best sequence in the film is literally right at the beginning.
Right, okay.
But still, it's very flashy. I like the director. I guess one of the issues that I have with him is that his films feel, to me, a bit flat. There's not much in the way of substance, but he's certainly very talented in terms of style. He's got a unique sense of style, and it works really, really effectively. It's fun, it is a dark thriller, but it's clearly not taking itself too seriously. And it's got you can see various kind of influences in the film, Tarantino, other films such as, Lucky Number 11, which feels very much like that film when I was watching it. So decent, fun, spectacular, no, but it's definitely worth watching.
Okay, what about for you, Darcy? Did the film work for you? Again, perhaps a bit of style of substance?
Yeah, it's funny how the strengths of this film are the complete opposite of the strengths of Rebound. Rebound is a very kind of relaxed, simple story, plain type of visuals, but it really, really works kind of on an emotional level. And, this film, it does look really good. And, and it has this kind of interesting, kind of ironic humor to it. And there's always a lot going on. And so the film, it kind of pulls you through its story. It doesn't quite have that emotional undercurrent that I think, maybe could have made it a better film, but but it is what it is. It's entertaining. It showcases some of the strengths of Korean cinema and Korean actors as well. But yeah, the general consensus does seem to be that it's a little bit light on substance, but quite flashy.
Well, I watched it as well, actually, because it was on Netflix. And I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. A bit like John Wick with the whole underworld assassin universe setting, but with a female lead.
Yeah, I see it doing really well on Netflix.
Sure, but Darcy, I had this feeling that this is perhaps a film that really should have been released in theatres in Korea, because I think it would have done really well. I think it would have looked great on the big screen. I think it would have drawn audiences in, especially at a time when people haven't been going to the cinema at the moment. Do you think the film distributors missed out?
There is kind of a sense that, the film industry is, being negatively affected to a certain extent by Netflix's success. And you can talk about individual films that may have, had a better, it would have provided a better viewing experience. I did watch this on my phone because I, had to watch it when I was kind of away from home. And so, with so much action and, movement and dynamism and, they put a lot of effort into the visuals of the film, and it would have been much better to see it on a big screen. And there's a lot of talent in here, that could have been working in films from the mainstream film industry. So there is a real push and pull between Netflix and the film industry these days. Netflix has a lot of power these days. So that is a challenge, I think. I feel a little bit bad for the mainstream film industry at times like these.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying because especially in America, actually, films are doing really well. I mean, to be fair, sequels, but you know, Scream 6, Creed 3, now John Wick 4, and we'll
I
talk
mean,
about
even
that
Western
next
films in Korea are doing well. Avatar broke records. John
Sure.
Wick is doing well. Currently.
Yeah, sure.
Few films.
But in America, actually, there's a lot more optimism in the theatrical business, a lot more than there is here right now.
Right, well, it is a concern, something perhaps we'll talk about again at some point. But we'll leave it there. That was Kill Boksoon. Jason, Darcy, thank you for your reviews. It's been a pleasure as always.
Absolutely.
Yeah, have a great weekend.